County Board of Commissioners to order. I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank you for coming out. We do have a right good bit of business to get through. We're going to move it along as expeditiously as we can. And at this time, we'll have a moment of silence so that everybody can meditate in their own faith. Thank you. Okay, our first item is the approval of the agenda. And I think we'll do this first. Does anybody have, any commissioner have anything to add on item 10, commissioner concerns, petitions, announcements, and comments?
I might have a comment, but it's so small it'll be a one sentence. I can put it in sometime.
Okay, I'll put you down, Dr. Sims.
I was gonna make a motion, sorry.
Okay, and all right, P.
Mr. Chairman, I would like an update on the PD Electric facility on Highway 52 South.
I've got an interest in that.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, one other thing. Under Administrative Matters number 5, the county manager contract extension, I would like to suggest that we do that in closed session.
Okay, we have closed session personnel. Okay. Okay, we will move the county manager's contract extension out from under administrative matters to closed session. Okay, anything else? Okay, at this time, we will entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the additions and changes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mims, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood to approve the agenda with the additions and changes. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, like sign. Okay, motion carried, it is unanimous. Okay, the second item is the consent agenda, and everybody should have had a chance to look at it. Several items here, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but one of them is the PD Electric building, and what it is on here for is the budget amendments that were done originally were not correct and needed to be changed, and this is an update. And then the second one for PD Electric is the closing cost was not covered in the original budget amendment. But with these two budget amendments, everything will be in place to proceed for paying for the PD Electric bill.
Move to approve.
Second.
The motion by Dr. Sims, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Okay, motion carried, it is unanimous. The consent agenda is approved. Okay, public addresses to the board. Mr. Jeff Boothby, Woodlands Forest. And just a reminder that under public addresses, we're not to comment, and anybody that addresses us here has 3 minutes to do so. And then if there's any action to be taken, we'll assign that to the county manager's staff. Mr. Boothby.
Yeah, well, I want to wish you all a happy New Year. It's nice to see everybody. Been a little while since I've had time to come to a meeting and make this pretty brief. I know there's been a lot of things with the computer systems that have taken a while to get back up, and most of the time my GIS database, I have all that stuff on my computer and it's not a problem, but today I needed to use the Register of Deeds to look up a deed itself, and also needed to confirm something on the GIS system, and I noticed that it wasn't working, and want to make sure y'all know that because it's starting to impact business more and more in the county. And I also was just curious, is there a plan? I know there's been several different plans over the past 10 years or so on what we were doing with our system. Do we have a date when we expect this stuff to be pretty much fully functional and back up and running?
We'll have the county manager address that with you.
Okay. And but that's all I had. I just wanted to make sure y'all were aware, and appreciate what y'all are doing.
Thank you, Mr. Booth.
Yep.
Okay, next item appearances, Sheriff Reed, the mandatory psychological screenings.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman,
Evening.
Vice Chairman Mills, Board of Commissioners. As of January the 1st, Senate Bill 300, which was done by the legislators, required that all law enforcement officers, 911 telecommunicators, and detention officers, the ones that are new, that don't hold any certification, have to go through a psychological screening. This, I put something in your packet from FMRT Group. It's basically $445 per person. The way the screening would work is, once we decide to hire someone, then we send them for the screening. We don't just send everyone that does the application. What I'm requesting is basically a $10,000 line item for this. This is, like I say, this is something that we wish they would have waited and done this after the budgets were approved July 1st, 2022, but we had no choice in it. So I'm asking that you take a vote on a line item. And this, I asked for 10,000. Hopefully we won't use that, but at $445, usually the most turnover is through the jail. 911 don't have much, the sheriff's office don't have much, it's usually the jail, and there's a lot of turnover there.
Okay.
And that's when we get new people. If they can get someone from another county that's already certified, we don't have to do this.
Okay. Okay, and the line item is this money, we have to take it out of the general fund, or is there money in your budget that could be switched around?
I don't think there's money in my budget at all that can be switched around, because
Okay.
we're gonna be pretty tight, if not almost over on some light items at the end.
All right.
Sheriff, this is for non-certified.
Non-certified, yes, sir. Ones that's never been certified. If I take someone from the jail and put them on the road, if they've been certified in the jail, they don't have to go through this when they go on the road.
I see. Okay, anyone else have any questions of the sheriff? At this time, we'll need a motion to approve
I
it.
make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Well, okay.
Okay, we have a motion from, Commissioner Sturdivant, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood, Dr. Sims, and Commissioner Mims to approve the, line item of $10,000 for psychological screening for the sheriff's department. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried, it is unanimous. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Reed. Appreciate what you do.
I just called your phone. There's a vehicle up there near the bus garage.
Okay.
I'm just coming out of Matthews, and I'm not saying that I like to hit it. Might have did up around. But it's in the road and not in the road, but both doors is open on the driver's side,
Okay.
and you can't see it.
Okay.
Somebody need to check that out.
I'll, as soon as I step away from here, I'll call.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think
Okay.
I'm the next one also.
Okay, you can proceed, Mr. Dees, so his representative.
Okay, he's, Mr. Dees is homesick.
Dees, okay.
I have Holly Thomas here with me, and I have Mr. Jody Johnson from the,
Okay.
Motorola group. What we're asking for on this one is we need more consoles over at 911.
Okay.
We're asking for 3 additional consoles, and if you look at it, the 911 board is paying part of these, a big chunk of these consoles. The total price of the 3 that we're looking at is $179,156. The 911 board is paying all but $50,000 of it. And these consoles, because we're getting ready to take on the town of Wadesboro, we need additional consoles.
Mhm.
Also, if there's a disaster or anything that's beyond our beyond what we can really control, we're gonna need these consoles for it too. And 911 board have a fund balance for different things that we get, and if we don't use that fund balance, we lose it. And that's one of the biggest things about this. But all we have to pay is $50,000.
Okay.
And Mr. Johnson here could tell you some of the other things about this, these consoles, where it connects to our radio systems.
Okay, I think Dr. Sims got a question.
Yes, sir.
Judge Reed, I like the fact that, you say 911's gonna have a balance. It sounds very good. How much of a balance would you suspect?
I'm not, that's something that 911 board, the 911 board sets, and we have to go by what they set. I think the manager, interim manager has been working real
You know, when
hard.
you're talking about this much money, $79,000 is a lot of money, and it's important we know how much of that, 911's gonna carry the load.
No, the 911 board is gonna, they're paying $128,280.
Oh, they're paying it to begin with.
Yes, sir.
I can't hear with him with his mask on, though, but Bob's other people are not.
Yes, sir, and all we have to pay is 50,000, a little
I
over
got you.
50,000 of it.
Excuse me.
And if we don't do that, we don't do it now, if we wait, the prices are going up of these.
I understand.
We're under the
particularly
old
technology.
prices. Yes, sir.
My fault.
That's okay, and Mr. Johnson will, tell you how these consoles tie in with the new radio systems we have, and the man down button as when the fireman was in here talking about the man down button and different things that these help out with.
Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to make a motion that we approve this request.
Okay.
I just got one question for the sheriff.
We'll,
When we,
hold on just a second. We can do this. We'll go ahead and take the motion in a second, then have all the
we
discussion.
might need
that
some
we-
more money, that's what I'm asking.
So what now?
He might need some more money, I wanna ask him this question. That warranty that we voted on earlier, is it gonna include these three consoles?
It will include.
Oh, I'm
It
good
will
then.
include.
Okay, I'm good, yeah.
Okay, and, so we have a motion from, Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Sturtevant, to approve the, request to purchase 3, radio consoles for 911. Now that we have the motion and the second in place, there's a couple of questions, I think you may have already touched on them, is, I guess just tying this into, there was some discussion way back when about radios with the man down feature and all that stuff, and then tying it to the Viper system, and I was thinking that had already been done, or was in the works. So, kinda help me out with my misunderstanding or whatever.
Okay, I'm sorry, what was your question again?
Okay, I don't remember exactly when, but way back when, we had a discussion about this man down function tying into the Viper system and, getting these new radios and all that. I
Yes, sir.
understand about the consoles, that's something we don't have.
Yes, sir.
But I was thinking that was actually already in place, so kinda, maybe I had a misunderstanding about that.
Well, that's just one of the features of it, the things that it help out with, it's already in place, but these consoles will also do it.
Oh, so basically, you're just asking to get 3 more consoles that'll do the same thing that everything else is already doing?
Well, it's 3, exactly, but we're asking for 3 more
Right,
stations.
understand.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign? The motion carried, it is unanimous. It's approved to purchase, 3 radio consoles for 911.
Thank you, thank you
Sir.
all.
All right. Okay, we're now down to item 5, administrative matters. 5A, LKC engineering agreement, that's Highway 74 East Sewer Line Project. Okay, who's gonna speak to that, Mr. Stanley?
I am, Mr. Piker is here, so he said he would be here if there are any questions or anything. The proposed agreement is in your agenda package. The board had previously approved engaging LKC for this work. This will all be, the engineering and the construction costs will be funded through the county's allocation of ARP. funding, and so the agreement is in here. If you have any specific technical questions, Mr. Kiker would be more than happy to answer those.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions in regards to the LKC engineering agreement?
Mr. Chairman, I only have one question regarding item 8. There's a mention of 540 days to completion. To completion of what phase is my question.
So our agreement, that's a good question. Our agreement with you covers, covers both the design, permitting, and construction phase services. So our estimate of 18 months, basically, would be from today until the line is done in the ground and finished.
Thank you.
Yes,
That
sir.
answers my question.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve this agreement.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Bricken, to approve the LKC engineering agreement for the Highway 74 East Sewer Line extension. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. It is unanimous. The LKC engineering agreement is approved. Item 5B, the interlocal agreement with the town of Wadesboro for 911.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, this is something that I understand the county and the town of Wadesboro have been in discussion about for some time. And Mr. Monroe had negotiated the framework of this agreement prior to his leaving. And then the attorney for the town of Wadesboro drafted the agreement, which we received a few months ago. We've gone back and forth. It's been reviewed by our staff. Mr. Forbes had a number of mostly technical changes that he wanted to make to the agreement. Those were all made, and the town of Wadesboro adopted the agreement at their meeting last month, and so it's here before you tonight for your consideration. And we've got a couple representatives here from the town if you'd like to ask them any questions.
Anyone have any questions? My reading sounds pretty straightforward. Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Sturdivant, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood and Commissioner Mims, to approve the interlocal agreement between the town of Wadesboro and the county for the 911 dispatch. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, motion carried. It is unanimous. The interlocal agreement for the town of Wadesboro is approved. Okay, page 74 is finance resolution.
Yes, sir. If I could, I'd like to take a moment. Colleen, would you come up, if you don't mind? Ms. Conroy is serving as our interim finance director for the last couple of weeks. As I discussed with the board previously, I worked with Ms. Conroy at the City of Albemarle. She retired from there a year or so ago, and she was recommended by the LGC staff when we were looking for someone to serve in an interim capacity. So we're glad to have her on board. She's learning Anson County, working closely with Rita James and Holly Berry. One of the things she's working on is, you may recall that the county back in 2020, I believe, approved a banking services agreement with Truist, or what was then BB&T. And for whatever reason, the finance staff in 2020 and 2021 never got the banking accounts transferred from PNC to Truist. And of course, there is no PNC bank here in Anson County, so we have to go to Richmond County to make deposits and that kind of thing. So one thing that Ms. Conroy has taken on is to try to get all those bank accounts transferred and worked out. There has to be a resolution. There was a resolution that was approved previously, but it's been so long that the bank is now asking for a new resolution. And so that's here in your agenda package, and we're asking you to approve that so we can move ahead with the switch over of the banking services for the county.
I make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Sturdivant, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood and Commissioner Mims, to approve the resolution for banking services at Truist. And I'm just
I think I better recuse myself. I have a good bit of stock with Truist.
that's what I was trying to clear, but we're only talking about Truist right now. I think I recused myself back when we were looking at all all of the banks here in Anson
Yes, sir,
County?
just Truist,
So
which
just
is
Truist,
formerly
okay.
BB&T, now Truist.
Okay,
So
so,
I can't make, I do too. So can I make the motion? Cause I got a lot of.
in
Why
Truist,
would it be, how would that hurt?
conflict of interest, or appearance of a conflict of interest. You know, if you're a shareholder, that's why I recommend.
Everything in here got a bank account with BB&T.
No, it's not a bank account.
You don't have bank
I
account.
got stock.
You own stock, and
Yeah.
if you own
Okay.
stock,
I gotta step down too, then somebody else gotta make the motion.
I'll make the motion, I don't have any stock in this company.
I'll
You
second
got
it.
anything before else?
I got the.
okay, thank you, Mr. Irvin,
Okay.
appreciate that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, having an account in the bank is a non-issue, but if you own stock, then there's a conflict of interest.
Somebody else gonna have to make it.
Okay, so we'll back up, and Commissioner Sturman has withdrawn her motion because of a conflict of interest, and that motion is now being made by Commissioner Gatewood,
And I still hold my
seconded by Commissioner Mims. Any further discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carried, it is unanimous. The resolution for banking service at Truist has been approved, and Ms. Sturman has accused herself.
Dr. Sims as well.
And Dr. Sims as well. So, wait a minute, we got 4 of us, so, yeah, okay. Okay,
Well, you are doing an excellent, I heard you doing an excellent job.
all right.
Thank you.
I hope so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, nice to meet you and welcome aboard.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You ever get tired of that necklace, think about me.
All right, item 5D, the deputy tax collector position, that's, Mr. Newton.
Yeah, I've got a request before you tonight, a personnel ordinance revision request. The request is to add the position of a deputy tax collector. This is due to the reorganization of the tax office earlier, which was approved. This will not require any revision of the 2021-22 budget. There is a job description attached. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Chairman, I have just one question, and that is the customer service representatives that we have for tax collections, will they report to this new position?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
thank you.
And is let me see, make sure I hadn't missed something.
And one of the reasons for reorganizing it like we did was the relationship between the tax assessing and the collections office, which interacts with each other constantly, and so it seems to be what the other counties are doing across the state, and it seems to work and perform well, so I think it will for us also.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions of Mr. Newton?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the deputy tax collector position and add it to our personnel ordinance.
I second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Sturman, that we add the new deputy tax collector position and add it to the personnel ordinance.
Can I,
Okay, if you got a question?
I do.
feel free to ask.
I understand the position, but as far as the salary grade, I think that's something we need to talk about.
It's,
You know, I thought the same thing.
is that 64, is that what you're looking
Yes,
at?
well, yeah, let me, I'll address that if I might. If you look at the grade and you go back to our structure, and I brought copies of that structure that we have, and you see what's included in the 64 grade, and then you look above it and below it. It seemed to be at this point the right place to put it. I certainly.
You're not considering the low point, are you?
No.
Thank you.
No.
I understand what you're saying. I feel like we need to talk about it in closed session as far as salary due to the changes that we made before with doing the reconstruction, so we can talk about salary. I understand, that's fine about the position, but we need to talk about salary.
Okay, well, I guess that'd be appropriate since it's part of personnel.
Well-
Or is it?
No, sir, because you're not talking about a specific person, you're talking about what salary range to assign to a position, and there's no person being considered, so technically that probably is not a proper
closed
closed
session.
session matter.
Okay.
If you're talking about an individual and their salary, you know, that's very appropriate, but if you're talking about ranges and salary structure, that's more of an open session matter.
And if you look and see, we know we got salary compression against each departments and through the grade ranges that we look at. So, like I said, look at that range and then look at the prior range and the ranges below that, and then you see what the responsibilities are there. You know, it seems to fit there at this point. You know, maybe later for review or something.
I understand what you're saying, but when we moved to change the position, the original position, we used the salary that we had for Mr. Dutton. So if we're gonna come over from this increase that you got and the increase for this position here, that's gonna put us outside the budget that we originally budgeted for the money.
Not for 21-22, no. We got enough salary built in the absence of the prior tax collector to carry us through, in other words, to the next budget year.
But once you hire at that salary, you can't take it back in for the next year. So that still needs to be talked about. Let's say you make the salary $45,000. Okay, and if it puts us over from what we originally had budgeted at Mr. Dunn's position before, let's say his was $65,000. Then you take the 45 out of 60, at least 20. If the raise that you got was more than that, then now we over what we originally had, the money that was budgeted for that whole position from the beginning is what we talked about originally when we did all this changing.
I believe if I remember correct, I think the increase that Mr. Newton got was like eight some percent, and was a little bit less than $10,000. So 10,000 plus, just say if it's 45, then it will be in there. But I don't.
There should be plenty of money there.
I'm thinking whenever once that person is ready to be named, is when we'll have the discussion at that time, because then you got a person, you got qualifications, and you're talking about the size. So before this position is offered to anybody, before you even say anything about it, once you, I don't know if you're gonna have to advertise for it, you got people within your department that you may be looking at, come back to us with the particulars, and then we can talk about the finances.
And everything.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
okay.
qualifications,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
I got one question. Would the salary range from lower to the top, would the Joe Dutton salary and your increase, would Joe Dutton's salary cover your increase and the upper end of this salary here? So if the upper end is 58,000 and you got your 8%, would we be safe, or would we have to stop somewhere in the middle before we got over the amount that was left over from that position from the salary savings?
Well, from the salary savings and what we were paying the prior thing, what I'm trying to say is we're fine for 21-22, the budget we're in now.
Yeah.
Now, I believe it'll be covered, but I don't have the numbers, okay?
But if you look at
22,
those
23.
two numbers and combine them, that would probably be the maximum that you'd want to allow somebody to get, right?
Right.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna throw this out there, we'll have to get in a whole bunch of discussion about it, but right now, the concern that you mentioned is along the line of what Commissioner Mills said. We're talking about this current budget year.
Yeah.
But then, you know, for 22, 23, we would have to look at it and decide, you know, where it goes from there. And if it's more than, if it's outside that range, then we'll have to determine where that money's gonna come from.
Right.
Yeah, that's the way I see it.
All right. Okay, at this time, got lost.
We have a motion to approve.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
It was. It was.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carried. It is unanimous to approve the new deputy tax collector position. Okay, item 5E, the county attorney contract, and that is on page 80. And there's some minor changes being made. There is actually no change in the, in the cost of the contract, but it's just an update. You know, those, changes are outlined in red. And I know the county attorney's not here, and Mr. Allen, I don't know if you and him have had any discussions about it, or.
Actually, you know, since it's the county attorney, I've not been involved in this one at all, Mr. Woodburn. And
Right,
I don't know why Mr. Forbes isn't here tonight. I was anticipating he would be here.
I was too.
Somebody's in the hospital or something. What? Oh, you didn't hear from him?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Okay.
And this contract is from January of 22 to December 22. This contract's for 1 year at a time. So this time we will need a motion to approve this contract.
Second.
Okay, motion by Dr. Sims, seconded by Commissioner Gable, Commissioner Mims, to approve the county attorney contract for January 2022 through December 2022. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the like sign. Okay, motion carried. It is unanimous. The contract for the county attorney is approved. Okay, and item 5B has been moved to closed session, so we're now down to item 8, the county manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item is the Landfill Advisory Committee. The board had asked staff to reach out to the current members of that committee, and Ms. Cannon did that, and she has a list that she provided for you tonight. She was able to contact or find out about everybody except for 2 members who we just weren't able to contact. Several of the members indicated no preference, which means that they're willing to stay on the committee if reappointed, but, you know, it really doesn't matter to them. They're okay either rotating off the board, the committee, or staying on. And then there are 2 people who are inactive, Mr. Pearson and Mr. Hobbs, so they are no longer active on the board. And so the Board of Commissioners had indicated they want to, that committee has been inactive for a period of several months, and the board indicated they wanted to look at either reappointing or appointing new members and getting that reactivated so that it's an active committee for the county.
Mr. Hobbs, had some unfortunate events in his life a few years ago.
Okay, so I guess basically where we are right now, it looks like the bulk of the members, it doesn't really make any difference, because they can continue to serve if we want them to, or we can change and get others. So how do we proceed from here? We can do one or 2 things. We can continue to let those who don't have a preference serve, replace the 2 people that no longer serve. And we got 2 that we can't get up with. Ms. County, you think there's any possibility at all that we can get up with them? I'd rather do that than just replace them. If we can't, then I don't have an issue with replacing them.
Yeah, I can keep trying now. This person, Mr. Crophofer, I don't know if that's a man or a woman, and I mean, do anyone you all know that person?
I'm not familiar with.
I think they're from the Mooring area. I'm not sure.
Do not, without saying address, this Miss Gwen Little, is she in Waynesburg?
I think she worked for Miss Jackson.
I don't know.
Is that right?
I'm not sure if it's the same person.
That, okay.
If it's the same person, she's in more.
Okay, the one I know is in Waynesburg, I know she's not gonna do it.
Well, what's the thoughts of the board? I'm open. We can replace them.
I need to just do a whole new board.
New board?
Cause this is the other thing I say, the ones, whenever you put on here no preference, when you ask them, wait, I don't matter, I don't care. They don't wanna be on it either.
They don't feel strong enough.
Yeah, we need, if we're gonna do this and do it right, like I said at the last time, we need people that want to be on there.
I agree.
And I truly believe we ought to have a representative from every district.
That's the way it was, and the reason the design.
The reason. No, I was here when it was made, that's the reason.
Yeah, that's the way you do that. Every one of us. I know somebody in Lyle that would be glad to serve on and do an excellent job.
Okay, then that.
But when you got people that I don't care, I'll put my name back on now. and then don't show up for nothing. I love you. I know you won't get mad at that, but the truth is what?
Okay, I hear you. Okay, then, with that comment in mind, then, I think it's probably best if we put it in the form of a motion that we reconstruct the landfill citizens advisory committee with an appointment by each commissioner of one person from their district to serve.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion from Commissioner Sturman, seconded by Commissioner Mims, that we reconstruct the landfill citizens advisory committee with one person appointed by commissioner from their district.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. My question is this, if there was somebody here in this group that you wanted to appoint, could you do that?
It's your district and that's who you want. There's not a problem with it. Just express the concerns that this board has about the inactivity in recent months. We don't want that to continue. Okay, we've got the motion and the second. Any further discussion?
Do we have a number of how many is gonna be on the board? It's just gonna be just for us, or, I mean, you're gonna have the same numbers? You still want the same number of people?
It's 9 on there now.
I'm not sure how the,
Should we go with 7 then, or just each one of us pick one?
Leave the 9.
Okay.
get a couple at large, and we'll have to
But
find
it
out.
need to be an odd number anyway for when you vote or whatever. Leave 9.
Okay,
We'll determine how to get there at large.
okay.
Anyone else, any other questions, comments? Okay, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. It is unanimous, the motion is approved. We will reconstruct the, landfill citizens advisory committee. Okay, Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item is the 2020 Census Challenge. I had a very nice conversation last week with Bob Coates, and Mr. Coates is the governor's liaison to the census. He was actually I sent him an email. He was on vacation, but he called me anyway from vacation, and he says that there are a number of jurisdictions in North Carolina that have some concerns about the census. As you may recall, about half the counties in North Carolina lost population as a result of the 2020 census. He says they are working on this and they are looking at developing some resources for cities and counties that want to make a challenge. They don't have all that information yet, and they're still getting some information in from the Census Bureau, more detailed information, and they help in challenges. So he said he would encourage us, if we're interested in that, just to hold on a little bit longer. We have until June of 2023 to actually even file the challenge, so there's quite a bit of time. The period for filing a challenge started this month, January of 2022. We have until June of 2023, and so they are going to be providing additional information from their office. And so as that comes forward, either myself or my successor will keep the board informed about that.
Okay.
The next item, Mr. Chairman, is the Article 44 sales tax issue, and that's a little bit complicated. The reason we didn't have this in your agenda package was because myself and Ms. Berry were continuing to look at this to try to figure out exactly what was going on, and we just didn't have it in time for the agenda package. But there really are 3 components that are laid out here, and Ms. Berry did this memo. In the current year, we would estimate that Article 44 sales tax would generate about $700,000. Unfortunately, the budget, it budgeted the total amount of revenue, but it only budgeted $300,000 in expenditures, and that was a $100,000 allocation each to the community college, to Anson County Schools, and to the AEDC. And so that means there's a $400,000 shortfall in the current budget, based on what we anticipate will be collected. And as you know, historically, the county, those funds have to be used for economic development, for community college, for public education. And so historically, the county had allocated, just divided that up equally, provided to those 3 entities. And then last year, at Mr. Monroe's suggestion, you gave each of the entities $100,000, and then the rest of the money put into a pool which they could write competitive grants for. And actually what happened last year was that the three entities got together and only asked for a third each because they didn't want to compete against each other. And of course, all of them have asked that the county go back to the prior allocation method so that they're not competing against each other. So we're dealing with two issues. One, they're asking that we go back, and that would be my recommendation as well. It's additional staff time and trying to pick winners and losers. I'm not sure that that's to anyone's advantage in that. But what Ms. Berry also found out was that we did not give the full allocation for the last 2 years to these groups either. That we actually, in 1920, I think it is, we didn't distribute $94,000 that came in through those sales tax funds. And then last year there was $242,000 that came in that we did not distribute to those entities. And so the total impact of that, the $400,000 shortfall in the current budget, and then the prior 2 years where we didn't distribute everything that came from Article 44 is $736,000. And that's a substantial amount of money, and that will have to come out of fund balance. But it's my understanding that the way the law is written, that's what these funds are supposed to be used for. So I'm not sure that the county can retain them and use them for any other purposes.
Right.
So we're recommending a budget amendment to do that. Now, the current year funding, we will go ahead and give them the past year funding that we owe. Current year funding would be distributed on a monthly basis as it comes in. It
Right.
won't be distributed in advance. So that's our recommendation, Mr. Chairman. Happy to try to answer any questions. It's a little bit of a complicated situation.
Once we clear up the arrears, and then we start giving the current year monthly,
Yes, sir.
month by month, then we'll be current.
Yes, sir, exactly.
Do
When
you,
did you
do
go
you,
with Mr. Allen's phone?
do you need a motion to do
Yes,
this?
yes, sir, to approve this budget amendment
Okay.
before you tonight.
So move.
Who got here first?
I made the motion and Leon is second. Oh, Leon, what did you do?
I made the motion, but it's okay, I'll take a second.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I forgot a motion from Commissioner Sturman, seconded by Commissioner Mims.
I just thought we were gonna get Mims and Sims mixed together.
To approve the, budget amendment for the Article 44 sales tax, distribution. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. It is unanimous, the motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The last item I have is to recognize the employees of the quarter for Anson County. We actually have 2 employees from one small department, which I think is unusual. We have 2 employees from the animal shelter, Jenny Delfino and Jackie Ussery. And my understanding is they've been short-staffed there. These 2 employees have really stepped up and done great work, and so they have been recognized by their peer employees for that work. And then the third person is from ACTS, Mr. John Lindsay from ACTS. He's the third employee of the quarter. So what we'll do, they will all, we have a plaque that's out in the quarter with their names on there. Their names will be added to that plaque. And then we'll have a breakfast or a luncheon later on this year for other employees of the quarter, and they'll be recognized at that time.
Okay. All right.
And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Allen.
You feel like one of those places, we gonna, recognize someone.
Katie, Ingram has them. Just call Katie, can you do that and ask her?
Yeah,
And if you wanna nominate someone, yes ma'am.
Yeah.
Because Katie is the one who kind of manages that process. We've got an employee committee that votes on them and all that.
Okay.
And, but Katie manages the process.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is the chairman's report. The only thing I have, and, just kind of, an update on the, PD Electric property, and, Mr. Forbes, if I misspeak, feel free to correct me. Yeah, you ain't heard me, so, okay. The PD Electric property, has been purchased. As you know, the 2 budget amendments we made were just to correct some, I guess, financial things that wasn't done properly. So now that we've done that, we can proceed with paying for the property. It was closed on, right? Is that correct? So we are now the owners of the PD Electric facility.
Alright.
And that's my report.
Oh, God. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Mr. Gateway, you don't have a lot of notes what I know what I do.
Just one.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you for raising that point. At our last meeting, there was a question regarding DSS employees for some excessive overtime, and we were going to review a proposal tonight. I don't know if we're ready to do that now or later.
We are not ready with the holidays, Christmas and New Year's. There just wasn't a lot of work time between the last meeting and this meeting, so we'll have all that ready for the February meeting.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And thank you, Ms. Sturdivant.
Okay, all right, item 10, Commissioner concern, petition announcement and comments, 10A, Dr. Singleton, you have comments you need to
I
make?
just have a comment. I think it would be a good thing, this is just my own opinion, from previous experience and, working with other groups in other areas. If we would consider sometime in the future, it would take some planning, a grant writer for the county. I don't mean somebody just write a grant. I'm talking about somebody that pursues the grant statewide, pursues grants within each county. You might have a certain foundation in some county that's interested in a particular thing, and we might have that need. And then also pursue them nationally. We are a poor county. We should probably be eligible for a lot of money out there. Would pay for the salary plus many times over. All we'd have to do is get 2 or 3 big ones. Just a thought,
Okay. Very, very good point, and actually, you could get some assistance from, Central Island. There's a lady there that, does that, and she works with counties on specific projects.
Right.
And, also, she
I
will,
wasn't familiar with that.
she will find money for you, but to have somebody on site would probably be, that can coordinate with this person would be better. Okay, Commissioner Brinken.
All right, upon the advice of the commissioners from the last meeting, I read, and the capital improvement plan is, from 2010 in its entirety. It's a very well drawn out plan. It's basically to upgrade our drinking water and wastewater treatment facility. In 2010, if you look at the first 6 years of the plan and then the last 14 years of the plan, because it's a 20-year plan, from 2010 until 2016, they estimated we needed to do about $20 million worth of repairs and upgrades. From 2017 to 2030, they estimate that we do 17 million more additional dollars worth of upgrade. In 2020, we had McGill come in, and they did an update of that 10-year plan, and they found just recently that we still are lacking about $42 million worth of upgrades and repairs in both our drinking water and wastewater treatment facilities. So the motion that I would make is that we post a request for qualifications from engineering firms to come in, work with our water department, look at these plans, these improvement plans, prioritize based on the needs of the current situation, and then that same engineering firm can go out, because they're the best ones to do it with the terminology, the eligibility, the knowledge of where the funding would be, to go out and procure that money that we would need to upgrade our systems. So my motion would be that we would just ask for that to where we can move forward with procuring the funds for that particular project, which we are 12 years into right now. So I make a motion that we do that.
Your motion is proceed with an RFQ to get these plans updated.
To get the
And
plans
move forward.
updated and then go to use the same engineering firm that would go after the funding. They could actually apply for the funding to procure the funding for us able to complete these projects. And some of the things that I could point at while you're deciding whether you want to go or not, Representative Brody said that these next 2 years are gonna be the best years maybe in the history of North Carolina for, rural counties, tier 1 counties to be funded to get upgraded. The biggest thing that I look at is our system, for the most part, is 40+ years old. The life expectancy of the average wastewater system and the average drinking water system is 40 years. We're beyond that. If we have $40 million worth of repairs and upgrades, we can't wait until the system collapses and then try to go after that money, because it's gonna be too late. If we start today, identifying the needs, working with the water department, seeking the funding, contracts, it could be a few years before we even get caught up if we start today. But if we wait till the system collapses and then go after the money, that's gonna be really a wrong way to go. And you know, we're a tier 1 county, we're eligible for a lot of this money, and I think we just need to be a little more aggressive in going after it. So that's my motion, that we do the request for qualification from an engineering firm. They'll come in, work with our water department, update our capital improvement plan, and then move forward with procurement of funds.
Mr. Chairman, I will second that motion. It's been 12 years since we've had an extensive review of our wastewater as well as water department facilities, and they are aging, and they are cracking, and in some cases they're breaking way too often. So I will second the motion that Mr. Bricken has made.
I think, are we ready for discussion?
We can ask now, or we can go ahead and get the motion second in place and then have the discussion.
Well, I have seconded the motion.
Okay, we got a motion from Commissioner Bricken, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood, that, we send out an RFQ for engineering firms to update, these proposals and prioritize what needs to be done. So now we're open for discussion and questions.
I think it's a good idea to do this. I simply have the question, and I believe Mr. Bricken could clarify it. The engineering firm that does the survey of problems and improvements and so forth, and looks for money, would they have to recuse themselves from being involved in anything that we get the money and then go to build something, repair something? Do you follow me?
Well, the engineering firms have grant writers that procure the funding, but the funding would be procured through the engineering firm. So if they were to procure the funding, I don't think that they would be interested in doing that if they weren't able to bid. Then they'd still have to bid on it. They couldn't just procure it and then automatically get it.
They don't have to bid on the project. That's different from being able to just.
Mr. Kiker, would you care to comment on that as an engineer?
I'd be happy to, Mr. Chairman. I can answer that. In North Carolina, if you properly solicit an engineering firm to prepare and procure funding, nothing in the state laws or from any of the federal programs that we're familiar with would preclude that firm from also submitting when you solicited firms for actual implementation of the project. That's our experience.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you stand back up there again, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Another question.
Yes, ma'am.
To do what, Commissioner Bricken is talking about doing, is there a fee?
There would be a fee, and it likely would not be significant. I think, I applaud you for, all of you for considering this, and you know, our firm deals a lot, and a lot of firms like ours deal with state and federal funding programs. And I will second what Mr. Bricken said, that the next 2 or 3 years will be the most favorable funding environment that North Carolina has seen in a generation, at least, if not ever. And that does not include, it will be that way regardless of any federal infrastructure spending that comes on top of that. So that will be significant icing on the cake. It depends on how that takes form. So I think that having a firm on board to review your plans and help you understand which is the most important projects from 2010, are they still the most important projects, or do they need to be reshuffled? or maybe there's something else that's popped up. That's a relatively low price point. Now, if you wanted to do a system-wide analysis again, then that's a little more effort and you're gonna get into a little more cost. But relative to the dollar amounts that I think the report from 2010 indicated, and then again in 2020, you're talking a very small percentage of the overall expected cost. And having a firm on board that's connected with the funding programs, which I think you would want to, I'm advising, you would want to make a part of the solicitation. Make sure you select a firm that has a track record of procuring funding for similar systems. Will be invaluable to you as you go forward in the next 2 or 3 years.
Good.
And one thing too is that tonight, if we make this motion, we're not making a motion to spend money yet. We're making the motion that they'll send their qualifications to us, we can review it and see if that package has what we want in it and how much it is then. So we're not voting on a dollar amount tonight. We're only asking for companies like his to provide us with the information of how they would go about this. Then we can get back together as a commission, review it and decide, hey, here's 3 different requests for qualification that we received. Do any of these match what we're looking for? And then and then we can talk about the dollar amount. So tonight we're just asking for an example, a statement of work. We're asking for a statement of work of how they would approach it.
Okay.
And if they were to get, the contract and they put out funding, I guess if they were to go after the procurement of funding, that doesn't automatically allow them to get the contract. Once the funding is procured, then it would go through the next phase of those that are eligible can then bid. So they wouldn't automatically get it even if they got us the money. They'd have to come back again. So, yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, we have the motion in the second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Okay, it is unanimous. Okay,
Let's
item.
go get the money.
Show me the money. All right, okay, item 10C. Mr. Gable, you still have questions on the PD Electric property?
No, I don't have any questions at all. I'm glad that we purchased the property, and I'm thrilled that PD Electric Board of Directors and their senior management worked with the county to make it happen. And looking forward to the plans, specific plans on what departments will go into that facility, and hopefully we'll have that at our next meeting.
All right, okay. Next is item 11, it's closed session. We have 2, one for personnel and one to consult the attorney. Is that correct? Okay, so at this time, we thank everybody for coming, and we need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sims, second by Commissioner Gaten, Commissioner Mims to go into closed session. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The county manager's compensation by 15% and extend his contract by 2 months to the end of February. Any further discussion? Seconded by Commissioner Sturtevant. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. It is unanimous. The motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, okay. I don't think there's anything else. We have reached the end of our agenda. I don't know that there's anything that we need to come back for, so at this time we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second by Dr. Sims, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood and Commissioner Sturtevant to adjourn. All in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. All right.